TGT is one of the best expansions, with some of the most useless cards ever made. The ones that upgrade your hero power, the ones that read Inspire and do something. And today we're gonna start with Aviana. Usually, you had to play this card, either like innovate or get a different way on reducing the cost, play Coon and do cool combos like Malygos into 40 damage and more. Nowadays you can either just play Celestial stuff, or you play Guff and then you have enough mana anyways. I played the cool combo that somebody once played against me that I haven't seen before. You make it so that you never take fatigue damage due to Ball of Ram Shield, great legendary, coupled up with the Jailer so the card stays immune and on your board. And then you can shuffle a bunch of Jade Idols, you can play Elise, get the Golden Monkey, all the funny cards. I would say Aviana, still a good card, and Bolf redeemed himself for not being entirely useless. That being said, let's take a look at the TGT Legendaries that I have on my EU account, as it looks like I have some of them in Golden. Because my past self thought that would be a good dust investment for terrible decks. But next up is Hunter. This was the very first time in Hearthstone history that we have two legendaries in one single set for one class. Acid Maw and Dreadscale. 10 mana, they work together, everything dies. In reality, Acid Maw is the most useless card still. The only time I ever played this was when I won anyways. And Dreadscale is pretty good actually, because you could play the card and Serpent Bloom, and then for 3 mana you save Acid Maw. When I killed something for the Shaman though, I felt accomplished. Until a couple turns later they played a whole bunch of stuff and I was missing Dreadscale, but I could have discovered Serpent Bloom, so yeah. Anyways, Dreadscale in Highlander Hunter, still an alright card. My favorite golden animation in the entire set used to be Chill Maw, and so I played my Highlander Dragon focused Luna's Pocket Galaxy mage deck. Played Chill Maw against Murlocs. And you know what it does? It actually works the way it's intended and clears the board. If you open your eyes wide enough, you will see that I might have traded away a card that has the same effect of dealing 3 damage. So even though Chill Maw wasn't that useful that turn, for the video I played it, it worked. Chill Maw is like a 3 out of 10, because it's useful in some cases, but it's just far too slow nowadays. And then I played Kalimos, got 20 mana worth of spells for free, and eventually won the game, because dragons are good. And the next thing we drag into this is Justica Truart, card from the thumbnail, wow! And while you would never play this card because Bakugo exists, you can still surprise the opponent by playing that card. And then it's like playing Bakugo, but you can also play even cards. And that is a good combination. Now look at this. It's fun to get a couple spells here and there, but if you're honest, no, play something else. For example, you could play the girl. Pale Tress. Inspire, summon a random legendary. And I inspired quite a lot. In one game, I inspired multiple times. It was so inspirational that eventually my opponent had the card. And they inspired too into Yasharash, which was far better than anything I got. I have to say, from all the legendaries in here, this is probably the most fun one, just because the random aspect can have the biggest impact. In one game, I got Pharaoh Sumpin. And then I had another random, which gave me 1-cost copy, which I then drew, which I then played, and I summoned random minions based on the cost of the spells in my hand. I give her a 4 out of 10. Next up we got a Man's Dream. Twins, the Wonder Twins, the Emo and the Nice One. Next to Peltris in my deck I would also include buff spells and the Wonder Twins, so I can be a buff priest. And that just didn't do much. So instead I put them into Paladin, which has a lot better spells to buff minions with. Played an aggressive style deck, it worked pretty well. If you coin out Edis, you can pretty much win the game just because of the card. Fiola on the other hand, Divine Shield is nice, but it's a little worse than it used to be. I would give Edis like a 7 and Fiola like a 5. The man says the following things. You control 4 units, you deal 4 damage. And that seems like a trait that I would accept. So I played Murloc Shaman, and then you can deal 4 damage to a 3/5 minion. My opponent played a Reno deck from like 2017. It was fully gold. And because of that simple fact, Gormok becomes twice as good. Because killing a golden minion is twice as valuable as killing a normal minion. You could actually play the card in something like a Token Druid, maybe in a Zoo Warlock deck. Dealing 4 damage as a 4/4 is not that good anymore. And then we take a look at Warlock, the best class ever made. There's one legendary, Wilfred Fizzle. He's a cool combo that happened the first time I tried this. On turn 7, Tour Guide, 0 mana hero power, 6 mana Wilfred. Together, magic. Because you take 1 and 1, make it 2, and then you can draw an 8/6 Anatheron. Because Wilfred is so useful. And then you either win or the card gets destroyed. So it's one or the other. There's not much in between. And then there's a good card for 7 mana or 1 mana. The card is called Sky Captain Krag. This is still a good card to include. In most cases it would be like 3 or 4 mana, but the fact that it has charge makes it pretty good. Some opponents might respect that so much that they honorably end themselves that way. Let's snap back to Shaman. Shaman has a card that is called, do you know it? Do you know it? Mistcaller. Wow. You can give all your minions in your hand in your deck +1/+1. The card might look good normally, it looks even better in golden, and if you play cards like Serenade Chain Gang after, that's pretty good stats. If you want to make your opponents feel bad for losing against someone who plays Mistcaller, you can play the Mistcaller. Otherwise, don't play that. And then I opened a pack, and the pack for Shadowboard is gonna happen next. I got reminded of the best legendary of this set. A Nubarak, an 8/4 for 9 mana. Without taunt, or rush, or lifesteal, or anything, but a death battle. It summons a 4/4 when it dies. And then you get the card back to your hand. Your opponent can easily remove that and then just hit your face. And that's the big problem. Give this card taunt, make it a 4/8, and the minion it summons would have taunt as well. So change the entire card, and then it's good. But it doesn't have that, so here we are. 0 out of 10, don't play it. Here's a whole lot of stuff that happened when I played Warrior. So I had a couple cards left to play. For example, there's Varian Rin. I played him, summoned a minion, mission accomplished. Here's the problem. When you play a big Warrior deck, it summons stuff from your deck or everything from your hand. If you have a Battlecry minion, you have to draw that, keep it in your hand, then play it, and then also hope that the other minions are still in your deck and will be drawn. I played Mayor Norgenfog, an awesome card, because everything is random, with the combination of Ice Howl. Ice Howl might say it can't hit face, but you will see what it hits right now. And then again. And then one more time, because this is a great combination of cards. A card that you should definitely remove from this style of deck is the Skeleton Knight. 6 mana 7/4, you joust, as in you reveal a card in your deck and the enemy's deck, and whoever has the highest cost card or minion wins the joust. If you win, you get the card back to your hand like a Nubarak. But here's a fun fact, they have a censored artwork in China because they don't like bones on artworks. The next reminder is that Lothar and Major Norgenfogger work in a weird way. If it targets a minion but kills a different minion, it doesn't get the +3/+3 buff. Is this supposed to happen or is this a glitch? Let me know. Now to Paladin. There's only one legendary in this set for Paladin, and you can play 2 of that. The man with the secrets. The actual legendary in here, if you remember that, is Aldo Peacekeeper on all the enemy minions. The card's name? Edric the Pure, and while he might be pure of heart and removed a whole 4 damage from the enemy's minions, this is still a pretty bad card. He is one of my favorite cards. So the guy is called Ronan, and there used to be a deck in 2016 that Amas played called Ice and Fire. It gives you Arcane Missiles 3 times, and if you played a card like Luna's Pocket Galaxy, it's only 1 mana to play the minion as a 7/7, and then you get the spells to your hand. I will give him like a 4 out of 10, but there's a good chance that you will burn cards from your deck because your hand is gonna be too full, and random Arcane Missiles for 7 mana, yeah, just not that good. And you know what you get when you play Ronan? You get lucky, because you can discover Pyroblast and then poof, and that is satisfying. One more thing that looks quite satisfying is this over here, and this moment in the pack that I opened after. Wow! A Druid card. Summary. Best cards, worst cards, cards that surprised me. The best ones are still Aviana, just because it enables any combo with any minion. Then for number 2, I would say Edis, because in any buff deck, this deals a whole lot of damage, if it sticks on the board. And that is a big if. And then for the 3rd place, I would say it's Sky Captain Crack, just because it might be a potential 1 mana 4/6 with charge. So those 3, maybe in this order, maybe a little different. I would say the worst one is a Nubarak, then the Skeleton Knight, just because both are so useless to play, and then number 3 is Asimov. There are also like 10 other cards that might fit in here, but those are probably the cards that you never want to have, never want to randomly generate, and you'd be happy if your opponent plays those. For the cards that surprised me the most though, I would say Pale Trism Priest was a lot better than expected. Then Justica Trueheart, at least in the Reno Priest deck that I played, was still alright to play. I would say Gormok is still a solid card if you play a board-centered deck. And with that being said, hope you have a good rest of the day, and see you next time.